even within this group, depending on how the dice roll. I guess not the dice roll, but depending on how they roll their own dice, Torkk.
Yeah, I actually just realized where I've seen Vaisravana. I think he streamed before and posted on Reddit. I now know exactly. I remember. Yeah, because I remember, like, I haven't really seen a Japanese player. Like, I don't know much about the meta for like, because you know how each region kind of like plays a certain way. I'm really curious how the Japanese play. I didn't get to see too much of his stream, so I'm not entirely sure how he plays. But I do distinctly remember. All right. Oh. Okay, so he's apparently GM on Korea, so that means he's really good. Definitely better than me. So I really want to see what kind of strategies he pulls out here. In so to introduce these players, in the top left corner, we have the Blue Zerg ByRada.
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner from Detonation Esports. There's a whole bunch of words after that, but it's the Red Zerg player, Vaisravana. It's like Detonation Pro Esports team. It's crazy. Very long name. ZVZ always fun to watch, and we'll see how it comes out on Coda. Again, map 1 in the best of 3 series. Just, starting off cool. We don't know much about our opponents, but let's take it all cool and early. Gas first, interesting enough for Vaisravana. I think he may be going for 14-14. See? He's close. Yep, he's got the drone even ready.
I love 14-14. I like it because you get some like interesting things out of it. So you can like do kind of all any things with it that is usually not as good, but you can put on a lot of pressure and you can do a lot of damage and get really good map control. So I really like this opening. And that it's not necessarily like a build order win versus anything except for maybe like a really hardcore cheese because, you have that earlier pool so you can defend pretty well. But he'll be a little bit, but I don't think too much behind as long as he has good link control and can get a little bit of damage and force Mr. ByRada here to make more lings than he wants to as well. So I'm really interested to see how this goes about. ByRada also did get his gas, which is pretty standard, so we should be seeing early speed lings from Vaisravana and then, standard speed. Oh no, he canceled it. Never mind. I think it's because he didn't see a natural.
Vaisravana definitely, possibly best defense, good offense, opening up in a ZVZ, and even though, as you mentioned, not a build or a counter, maybe you can get some damage done. More so, if you don't know your opponent at ZVZ, it can be pretty dicey, and you can be scared in that early game, so 14-14 will at least allow him to go safely into that mid-game, even putting one drone back into gas for himself. But over here on ByRada, no gas yet, just throwing up a spine in his natural, saying, you know what, I can go gas this for a little while, and actually, no, he's just forcing out lings, because he presumes the lings are coming across the map where they're not totally from Vaisravana. Kind of just going more into the macro style.
Yeah, Vaisravana knows what he's going up against because he did scout the natural, and he kind of knows how early that had, and he knows like the basic pool timing, so he knows he can't really get too much damage done, if at all, right now with his build. So he's just gonna go into macro and try to catch back up. He did cause a few. I think ByRada would probably prefer to only maybe make like 2 lings, but since he saw that the later natural, it kind of forced him to make another. So Vaisravana has that for him, but okay, yeah, those lings are definitely not getting into the main with those 2 queens there. So Vaisravana is still kind of behind by he's down like only 2 workers, so he's not too far behind. He just has to kind of do something to get a little bit more of an advantage. ByRada has that mineral advantage for taking such a late gas, which he did just put down.
ByRada just playing it really safe, as you were saying, with those couple lings, trying to at least counter the 14-14 or have something out with the spine. He's even made a couple extra queens defend. So for now, both players have stabilized sort of into this mid game where they both were freaked out and they're like, okay, cool, we're good now, we're good. And as you mentioned, ByRada doesn't have a super big lead. It's actually not even there now, but he will be taking his second gas back at home and is looking for Evo Chamber Roach Warren. This is going to be a very nice push from him, and I'm honestly quite worried for Vaisravana. I was going to fend. Yes, he's got 1 drone in gas, but he hasn't really chosen his tech. He's got a while, but he doesn't even have an Overlord to spot this, I don't think. No. He's got to assume it, especially with these lings actually on the way.
One thing he could do, oh, he's taking a third. That could be a little bit risky for what ByRada is planning. He can maybe poke up there with a... Nope, never mind. I was gonna say he could poke up there. Oh, that Ling wins. With a Ling, but I think it might... He has to really be paying attention because it could die too fast. No, okay, the buildings are done. So he should be able to see what's happening because those queens should be able to kill it in time. Yeah, he should... Yeah, he definitely kind of knows what's going on now. So we are getting a lair from Vaisravana and a lair from ByRada. ByRada's will be a little bit faster. So we're going to see what ByRada does. He does not, as far as I can tell, know that... Yeah, he does not know that Vaisravana has taken a third. So that could influence his decision for how much he wants to commit with this Roach play. He is going to take a third of his own, so he's not going to commit that much. So he's actually going to be a little bit behind on the third timing. So we're going to see how he reacts to that.
Both players, respectively, Vaisravana in the early game and ByRada and now kind of being aggressive, then realizing, you know what, we're going to fall back and go into a much more standard macro game. Although ByRada, he does have a slight lead, not too much, but he has a slight lead in +1 missile and in Roach speed. So if it does go down to Roach v Roach, ByRada will have ever so slight. Yet on the other hand, I mean, always third base hatch is good for production. We'll see how it plays out. For now, the layer, as you mentioned, of Vaisravana is slightly quicker, and I'd love to see him get a Hydra's Den just to pump out just a couple Hydras to really turn the tide in the big battles going back and forth. And one bigger thing to point out, actually, the map control is about the same, but ByRada does have his Overlords, I feel like, in a little bit better placements. Sorry, Vaisravana.
Yeah, Vaisravana can definitely see wherever ByRada may come from. Aside, he'll be a little bit late on knowing from the top right, but it shouldn't be matter that much when she has Roach speed because Roaches just move so fast on creep. So, whoops.
You alright?
Yeah.
Everything
cool?
No worries, no worries
at all. For half a second, yeah. So yeah, because Roaches move so fast off creep, or on creep, not off creep, Jesus. It doesn't really matter that he'll get a slight delay in information. He's actually moving an Overlord further up, now that I've said that. So never mind, he's a better player than me, because I wouldn't have done that. But yeah, so it looks like ByRada and Vaisravana are both committing about equally to the Roaches. ByRada has a slight upgrade lead, but yeah, by the time he engaged, it doesn't matter. They're about equal now.
By the time the players engage, it is about equal, and Vaisravana does have that lovely defender's advantage where he can really just kind of push back ByRada, but now it's going to go, yep. Vaisravana doing exactly what I think he should be doing, you know, not being too aggressive, not moving into a beautiful concave by ByRada, and just pulls back. That didn't really win a battle, but did kind of just say, you know what, I did it right there, I was in the lead, pulls back, and is just still both players going to the macro game. Off the back of this, still no Hydra Dens from either of the players, but we do see +2 from ByRada, just nicely securing him a little bit of an upgrade lead. He knew he was down by just a few Roaches there. He's going to try to get back by that.
Actually, and interesting to note, for a while, Vaisravana, and even kind of now, before he had 15 worker lead, now it's just 10. But they're he actually has more army and more workers. It's actually a decent advantage now. Sure, his +2 is a little bit later. +1 doesn't actually, I don't think +1 actually really affects the outcome of a Roach versus Roach. For armor, I think it doesn't really affect much until you get to +2. So even if ByRada will have that advantage, I feel like Vaisravana is going to have this huge kind of a decent econ lead, but he's going to have a huge army lead soon now that he has so many more resources to kind of play with. The nice thing about this map is that it's going to be really hard for Vaisravana, even if he had a huge army advantage to end the game, because that possible third, but at this point maybe a aggressive fourth. And it has a huge high ground advantage because you can have a huge concave above that ramp. So if Vaisravana ever tries to go up there, he will probably lose the fight even if he had an army advantage. So this is going to draw out the game a little bit. It's going to mostly be about who overcommits on this map. But Vaisravana is definitely in the lead.
I completely agree. Not only is Vaisravana in a lead, but as you said, who overcommits? Earlier on, we did see Vaisravana, he took an engagement and said, you know what? I'm not going to push too much up into a concave. I took the engagement. I'm going to keep my however so slight small lead and then just push out later. At the moment, though, Vaisravana has a huge influx of Roaches. He is 64 to the 43 of his opponent. Actually, yeah, no, he does have 64 to 43 opponents. So Vaisravana does have an almost 20 Roach lead. ByRada currently at 2-0 to the only 1-0 Vaisravana, but both players going to try to pass each other. Actually, for now, Vaisravana is pulling back. He does not want to sacrifice his third base by any means or his fourth base. ByRada is going to sadly meet straight into a decently big concave for Vaisravana. Both players very aggressive, move straight up into each other's faces. Currently, it is 50 Roaches to 50, actually decently evening out with the Roaches of Vaisravana kind of one by one moving in, and ByRada having just ever so slight 2-1 lead to the 2-0 with this actually, it's a very nice round. ByRada may be able to take this, but with, I don't know. What do you think, Torkk?
I think Vaisravana's got this. He just has so many roaches that sometimes concaves don't matter. It mattered a lot there. He did kill a lot more roaches than if like Vaisravana had a big concave, but since Vaisravana started with
ByRada. On the move command, will lose a decent amount of roaches right here, but there's roaches and tunneling claws, but no, the Overseer says no way. Denies that, and I'm still very surprised that they've never even tried to get up the Hydras. It's kind of like, well, if you don't, I won't, and we're just cool with roaches.
With Hydras, there's this weird window of opportunity that I think they're afraid of, where the other person who doesn't get Hydras has this window of opportunity, yeah, where you can tech switch or just like straight up try to all in you with roaches because you're gonna have slightly less. But here we have an engagement. He's gonna take out the spine. He has so many more roaches than ByRada. I don't think ByRada can hold, especially with this huge positional advantage that Vaisravana has by getting right on top.
JJ! About 40 roaches to 25 to 30 in that final battle, and really just putting a nail in the coffin. Vaisravana starts it off very hesitantly, very unsure with that 14-14 pool, trying to get himself into the mid game, and takes a solid game after that. And as Hawkeye said, I know you guys couldn't hear it, but Vaisravana is that GM on KR. He's a very good player, and just showing him stuff in the rival StarCraft 2 league, really gunning for the money in the round of 8 and possibly even the finals.
Yeah, his macro is pretty impeccable there. Like, even though that he had like a later